Hello student, welcome back, and this will be our lesson 2. Today we're going to learn how to create checkpoints and loops to control our flying platforms. So last time we were here, we made these 2 steps. The first one was we created a collision for these different platforms so we don't fall through them, and we created a kill box. So if you fell here, you don't get soft locked. And we also added these islands as a small parkour to get us from the first part of the game to the second island of the game. So now we're going to move from this point to the next point. So one important thing in games is checkpoints. Whenever you complete a section of a game, you want to get to a checkpoint to save your progress, so you don't have to restart from the very beginning every time you die or every time you fall. You want to start from different intervals so the game doesn't get very repetitive and very boring. And that's what we're going to work on today. So the first thing, we're going to add a checkpoint in here. So by the way, to fly around the map, just a reminder, right click on your mouse and then you can move with AWSD. All right, so let's go ahead and add a checkpoint. If you go to your content drawer, we're going to navigate back to Hour of Code on our left side menu, and then we're going to go to Blueprints, and you're going to find this checkpoint box here already for you. I'm just going to point my camera down a little bit this way. I'll take my checkpoint and I will place it on the ground. Perfect. So this is very simple because this checkpoint have already been designed for us. If you make your own game, you will have to design your own checkpoint, and we will cover that at the end of this video. So let's go ahead and reorient it. So this arrow basically is going to point toward the direction your player will gonna spawn on, and we want it to point our player to the next obstacle. So we're gonna press E, and we're going to hold the blue part and rotate it until the arrow faces the new obstacle. And that's how we create our checkpoint. Let's go ahead and test it out. So I'm going to go ahead and play. And I will finish this level real quick. And I'm going to teach you another thing too. So it's going to be very hard to always start from the very beginning when you're testing your game. So you want to create different way to start the game, so you don't have to always start from the beginning. All right, perfect. I'm going to touch the checkpoint. You hear the noise and the color changed to blue. And now if I accidentally fell, I go back to my checkpoint. Perfect. So I don't want, I'm going to ESC, I don't want to have to start from the very beginning every time I run the game. So what can I do about it? I'm going to press number 2 on my keyboard, and that will take me to the second level. What you can do is click on those 3 dots on the right side and then do current camera location. And that will allow you to start from where your camera currently at. So my camera is currently at this position. If I hit play, my player is going to spawn in this position, and I can step on my checkpoint. And that will be helpful because you're going to face an obstacle like this one, for example. And let's say you're not good at coordination and you kept falling down. You don't want to spend too much time trying to win your own level just so you can edit it and check it out. So that's why we're going to be using that camera location to start. All right, and as you can see, if I fell down, I go back to my checkpoint. All right, so this is the checkpoint simply. So let's look at the checkpoint real quick. I'm going to click on the content drawer, and I'm going to double click on my checkpoint, and that will open my checkpoint blueprints. So if I went to my construction, I'm going to make this maximum. You don't have to do this part. This part you can just follow along and watch. This is the logic behind the checkpoint. We have the construction script, and then we created a dynamic material for it, which was what you can see there. And then we have a set, and then we can see the material in here. And then this is the logic behind how the checkpoint works. So it starts, and it's nice because it's labeled and everything for you. So starts this event when player touches the checkpoint, and then this happens next. I'm just going to go over it real quick. We are going to have a whole lesson about how to work with blueprints. So for now, we can just look at this, and this is how easy the logic is in Unreal Engine. You don't have to code per se, but you can use those blocks to move on and forward. All right, I'm just going to close the blueprint. Okay, so moving forward, let's go ahead and jump into the next level. So again, I'm holding my right click on my mouse to fly around. And what we're going to need to do now is we need to get from this point all the way up to this island. So how do we do that? We are going to create another island, but this time, instead of creating those static, boring islands, we want our islands to move. So we're going to create an animation scene or cinematic scene. To do that, let's go to content. First, actually, let's position ourselves so we can see this whole environment at once. Go ahead and press number 9 on your keyboard. This is a saved bookmark, actually, not 9, number 0 on your keyboard. This is a saved bookmark that will put you in this position so you can see the place you need to start and the place you need to end. So let's go ahead and add an island, and then we're going to create a cinematic for it. So go to Content Drawer. I'm going to navigate back to Hour of Code. And then I will go to Static Mesh. And then I will select my island and drag it and drop it. Press W so we can move from rotating to using the arrows. Just going to make sure it's down low in the right position. Is that good enough? Yeah. So basically, I need my island to start from here, where my player can jump on it, and take me all the way down to here. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. So to create an animation or cinematic for it, we will need to go to Content Drawer, Hour of Code. Let's save them in sequence. All our animation are going to live at the sequence file, just for housekeeping purposes. Click on the Add button, and then we're going to go to Cinematic, Level Sequence, and then I'm going to name this one S_moving platforms. And try to name it the same name I'm naming mine, just so whenever I come and help you working with your bugs, I know exactly what you did and where you are at. And then double click on it to open it. All right, we opened it, but you can't see anything. Or maybe you can. If you can't see anything like me, hit down here on the Content Drawers to hide it. And there you go. This is the sequence window. So the sequence window helps you create animation. And there are some few vocabularies that I want to have you get familiar with. So the sequence, the way it works is you set a keyframe at one position and then you move the time. These time are frames. They are not actual second or minute. And then you basically move the time and you set another keyframe. And then in between the keyframe, the computer will do the math and figure out, all right, the object was here at this point and now it's in here. That means these things happened in between. And that's actually very convenient because you don't have to work on every shape frame by frame. And that makes your life a million times faster and easier. Just want you all to know, like back in the day, this wasn't a thing. People had to write their own function. So what we call this distance between our first frame and our last frame that we're interested in, we call it twee. And that's basically what the computer will fill in for you and figure out. And the function or the math equation, we call them lerp. And that's how the computer calculates the in-between keyframes. So let's look at that. So this is what we want to happen. We want our island to be here first, wait, not move, for a few seconds, so it gives us a chance to jump on it. And then at 15 frame, I'm just going to drag this arrow, the red one. We want it to take an action, which means, hey, I want you to start moving. And then let's say it takes it 75, from 15 to 75 frames to move to this side. And then we want it to wait on the other side for another 15 frames. And then we want it to go back here so it picks it up again. So let's go ahead and do that. To animate anything, you have to add it in sequence. And since I have one island, the easier way to add it is by clicking on the island, basically selecting it and pressing the add button. And then add actor track. And you're going to see the island your mouse is currently selecting up at the top. If you didn't, then you would have to figure out which one of these it is. So, but if you picked it up, it will always be saved up here. So I'm going to pick my island. All right. So now to add a keyframe, I'm going to go to 15 and I will click here, add a new keyframe. And then I will go to 75, which I think is a good time so the island wouldn't be super fast. And I will add another keyframe. And now this is the distance in between. So back to 75, you can press this arrow and it will take you directly to the point you were at. I will move my island to this place. Okay, so we have an issue here. The island didn't move. All right, so the problem it didn't move is I did not activate this keyframe. So let's try that again. I am on this keyframe. Let's go ahead and move it. Yes. As you can see now, there is this gray arrow tracing behind me. I'm going to make sure my island is just right. Let's see, is that enough? I think that's too low. My player won't be able to jump. Let's make it higher and a little bit bang like this. So now, as you can see, my island moves from this position slowly to this position. So now we wanted to wait here for another 15 frames. So I'm going to drag it from 75 to 90. I will add a frame. And then I wanted to go back to the beginning, which is this one. And I wanted to take about the same time that it took it to go from yay to yay. So we moved from 15 to 75. Doing a quick math, that would be minus 10 will be 65, minus 5 will be 60. I had to do the math. So 90 plus 60, that will be 150, right? I think so, yeah, 150. So our last frame is going to go at 150, and I will just go ahead and copy this frame. I'm just dragging my mouse to highlight it, Control C, and then Control V, and that will put it back there. So now this is what will happen. My island will start there, will move to my final destination, will pause for a minute, and then we'll move back to the beginning. Perfect. Okay, so that's how we create the scene. And if you want to add more island, you can just hit add actor, and then pick the actors that you want to add. All right, so now after we finish the sequence, we have to save it by clicking on this save button. You see the asterisk up there? If you see it, that means it's not saved. So we're going to hit it to save. All right, now let's add this sequence to my screen so we can actually see it. I will hit content drawer. I will drag my sequence and drop it somewhere on the screen. All right, now we need to make it work. Right now, if I went to details and I'm selecting the sequence, we can see here it's not autoplay, so the sequence will not start automatically, but we want it to start automatically. We don't want it to start on an event, at least for this one. So I'm going to make it at an autoplay. And we want it to happen forever. So the loop, we're going to change it from don't loop to loop indefinitely. And we're going to keep everything the same. You can do like an offset stuff if you want, or a randomized start, but we don't want to mess with any of that right now. So let's go ahead and test our game. So we want to start on this platform. I think number 9 will take us there. Perfect. And then just make sure that you have current camera locations activated and play, and let's see what happens. All right. Perfect. The island is moving back and forth. I jump on the island and I jump here. Amazing. We made it. So, but this is a little boring, right? It's just one single island that takes me from this side to the other side. Let's make it more interesting. But this time, I'm not going to show you how to make it interesting. This will be your assignment. Go ahead and add a total of at least 3 islands that are going to be moving, and you need basically to jump from one island to the other to be able to make it to the other side. Just to clarify, I'm going to show you an example, basically a done example that you can try to replicate or make something your own. All right, this is the example I came up with. So it goes like this. I'm just going to put my camera where you can see all 3 islands, and I'm just going to play it. So the islands move like this, and you have to figure out which island you need to jump on at the right time. So your task would be create something similar. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, and please don't make exactly the same one. And then when you get to the activity to destination, go ahead and create a checkpoint in here as well. Those are the two things I'm expecting y'all to complete in this assignment. Good luck.